Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Last time we showed you how to make a randomized character and the different things that go into making a character, as well as reading your character sheet. Now I'll show you how you would make your character from scratch. So we'll go to our characters, and now here's our character from last time, our randomized character. We ended up with a human barbarian. This time, we're going to create a character from scratch. So this time we're going to choose standard. Last time we chose randomize, and quick build basically is a similar version of randomize, except you've already chosen all your options, and it's giving you a quick version of that you can use on the fly. Go ahead and click on that. Enter our name here. Let's just go ahead and hit the randomize button that's here. Alright, Sumiki. I think that's how you pronounce that. Now, as you know before, you can add all of these things. So, now let's go over the races real quick. Aarakocra. They're a bird race. They get a bonus to dexterity, wisdom, the ability to fly, and their unarmed strikes have talons. So, weapons aren't needed as much. Next one up is Dragonborn. They get a bonus to strength and charisma. They choose a type of dragon that they're a part of. It can be black, blue, brass, bronze, copper, gold, green, red, silver, and white. Each of them have different types, and you can breathe out that element. As you can see here, there's acid, lightning, and there's they shoot them out in lines or in cones. You also get resistance to the type that they ended up choosing. Next one up is Dwarf. There's two different subraces, Hill and Mountain. They're mountain dwarves have a +2 to Constitution, Dark Vision, saving throws against poison, have proficiencies with a few weapons, no matter what class you choose, stone cutting, and armor training. Whereas Hill dwarves, they have a +2 to Constitution, Dark Vision, Dwarven Resilience for the poison again. More Dwarven combat training, 12 proficiency stone cutting, but Dwarven toughness this time. And every time you level up, you gain an extra HP. Next one up is Elf. There's 3 sub-races. High Elf has a bonus to dexterity, intelligence. They have dark vision, keen senses, which gives them proficiency in perception. Fey ancestry, so they can't be put to sleep by magic, don't need to sleep, and can have advantage against being charmed by magic, as well as trance. They don't need to sleep, and instead they meditate deeply, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours a day. They also get a cantrip from the wizard spell list. Next one up is Wood Elf. It's quite similar, except they gain a +5 to speed. Don't get the cantrip, and their intelligence is replaced with wisdom. Eldrin Elf is the same as High Elf. Well, Eldrin Elf gives you the ability to use Fey Step, which can cast the Misty Step spell once per short rest, or long rest. This is a short-ranged, quick teleportation spell. Gensai is half elemental, half humanoid. There's air, fire, earth, water. They all have their own effects, but they all also give a +2 to Constitution. Gnomes are similar to dwarves, except instead of being tough, they have a high intelligence. They're also quite cunning, giving them advantage on some saving throws. Next one up is Goliath. They're big, tough. They're pretty good at low-level campaigns. They can carry a lot of stuff, and they can take reduced damage. Have a bonus to strength and constitution. Next one up is Half-Elf, a very powerful but bland race. Half-Elf, half-human, most likely. You get a +2 to charisma, and you get to choose 2 that gain a +1. You also get dark vision, Fey ancestry, just like the elves. Skill versatility, you can choose 2 skills and have proficiency in them. And languages. They actually get Common, Elvish, and another language on top of that. Next one up is Half-Orc. They're similar to Goliaths. stat-wise. They get a +2 to strength, +1 to constitution. They also get dark vision, have the menacing trait, which gives them proficiency intimidation, and relentless endurance, which basically allows them to stop being knocked out once per long rest. They also have savage attacks, so you do even more damage when landing a critical hit. Next one up was Halfling, another one of the short races. These guys have a +2 to dexterity, and depending which one you choose, they might have a +1 to con or +1 to charisma. They're brave, they're incredibly lucky, meaning whenever you roll a 1 on a 20-sided die, you can just completely re-roll it. They're also pretty nimble and and they can hide behind bigger creatures. Next one up is Human. Definitely one of the most plain ones, but the first one gives you +1 to all stats. And the second one gives you your choice of a feat and proficiency in one skill of your choice. Next one up is Tifling. Tiflings are half demon or devil and half humanoid. They have dark vision, resistance to fire, and know a few fire spells as they level up. And Variant Aasimar, sorry. They have a +2 to charisma, +1 to wisdom, have dark vision, the ability to resist radiant and necrotic damage, have slight healing capabilities, and know the light cantrip, and later levels can learn lesser restoration, and even daylight. So now we're going to start with something basic. Half-elf. So there's the +2 to charisma is already added. Now these blue boxes are ones that you have that there's a choice for you to make. So I'm going to go ahead and boost dexterity and constitution. Next one up is skill versatility. I'll choose some skills. Perception's a very good one, and so is stealth. So I'll choose those two. Languages. Now, there's a whole bunch of language. I'm going to go ahead and choose Halfling, because who doesn't like to talk to a Halfling? Next one up is class. This is where you choose one of the classes. Barbarians, big, strong, tough. They hit hard, and their crits hit even harder. Next one up is Bard. They use song, dance, any really artistic form to cast spells. Blood Hunter. They use their own blood to curse enemies. They're also really good at tracking down certain types of enemies. Cleric. In most games, they are considered the healers, but in lower levels, clerics can actually do a lot of damage pretty quickly. But they are usually support roles. Next one up is Druid. These guys are one with nature and Mother Earth. They get spells and abilities based off of plants and the wilderness, and can even turn into animals at later levels. Fighter. These guys are kind of plain. They're a calmed down version of the barbarian who goes into a rage. But the fighter isn't any worse as they're skilled with practically any weapon. Monk uses their fists, or any really unarmed strike, to take down their foes. They're usually calm, collected, and quick on their feet. Paladin. These guys are tough, strong, and charismatic. They use their charisma to cast spells, and they get their spells from their oath. Ranger. Ranger is half druid, half fighter. They have an affinity for nature, but are skilled with many different weapons, like the fighter. Rogue. These are the sneakier and have the highest dexterity of the bunch. They have skills that allow them to evade and do sneak attacks against their opponents. Sorcerers are people who just suddenly have magical abilities now, whether you drink from some sort of magical well, or your great ancestors were half dragon, and your latent abilities suddenly activated. These sorcerers bend magic to their will, and can change and shape the very essence of what the spell does. Next one up is Warlock. Most people say that you sell your soul to some powerful creature. In all reality, you just make a deal with it, whether it's a demon, a devil, or something good like a celestial or one of the fae. It definitely affects how you play your warlock, but keep in mind that bad isn't the only thing. They cast very few spells, but at max power. So afterwards, unless you chose Pact of the Blade, which allows you to have a weapon, you are really forced to use your weaker spells. And finally, Wizard, someone who's been studying or knows many things about the ways of the arcane magic. They have a spell book in which they store many spells in, but can only remember a few at a time. Well, not a few. They can only remember a certain amount at a time, so they keep it stored in the spell book, constantly switching out which ones they currently have prepared and don't. They also have a wide variety of spells. They have a ton of spells. The largest list of spells out of any of these. So, because fighting class, martial classes like fighter, barbarian, rogue don't have spells, and this is a teaching tutorial, I'll be choosing one with spells. So I'm going to go ahead and choose someone simple, like our friend the Sorcerer. Alright, now you'll see here, class features, spells, your class, your level, your total HP so far, and another place for your level. Clicking this brings you a whole bunch of numbers. This is to select what level you are. Make sure to check in with your DM to see what level you are. Don't just choose level 20 in their level 2 campaign. We're going to go ahead and go with a 4th level, as most of the features can be taught by 4th level. First one up is Proficiencies. Choosing a class gives you certain types of proficiencies. Unlike the half-elf, you can't just choose any proficiency. But there is a list that is right here, or when you click on it, you'll see it. So, we'll choose Arcana and Persuasion. Next one up is the Sorceress Origin. This is your archetype, or your subclass. Every class has this, but they're at various different levels. Sorcerer has it at level 1. Things like Paladin and Fighter have it at level 3. And, let's see, I believe Druid has it at level 2. So, for Sorcerer, because we are using free options only, I'll be choosing Draconic Bloodline. This basically means I had a Draconic ancestor, as it says here. So I'll choose a type. I'm going to go ahead and choose Red Dragon, as they are the fire dragons. So Draconic Resilience, this basically makes it so I have a higher AC, which means it's harder for me to be hit, and extra HP. I also believe I have resistance to the fire. I'm not sure. Next one up is Font of Magic. You get sorcery points based on your level. You can turn spell slots into sorcery points and sorcery points into spell slots. But they can also be used for meta magic, which is right here. Once you hit 3rd level, you get meta magic, and you can choose from this list. These allow you to alter your spells and bend them to your will. You can make a spell careful, distant, empowered, extended, heightened, quickened, subtle, or twinned. For the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and choose empowered and heightened. Empowered makes it so if you get a low amount of damage, you can use it and reroll some of the dice to get higher amounts of damage. Whereas heightened makes it harder for a creature to resist your spell. And finally, ability score improvement. You can choose ability score improvement or feat. So if you choose ability score improvement, you can choose 2 stats to increase by 1. Or you could choose the same stat twice and increase it by 2. Next one up is feat. A feat is a special ability that your character can get. Because we are using free, the only two available are firearm specialists for guns, which most DMs do not allow, so I recommend talking to them first if you want to use said guns. And Grappler, which allows you to grab somebody. Now, as these are not very good for a Sorcerer, we'll go ahead and choose Charisma, the main stat for a Sorcerer. Now, you'll notice that there is a little section here known as Spells. If you go ahead and click that, it'll take you to your known spells and to add spells. Now, seeing as I just made this character, he knows no spells. So, I'll go ahead and add spells. As you can see here, I get 5 cantrips and 5 known spells. You can filter between these with these buttons. 0 is cantrip. Every other one is known spells. Cantrips are level 0 spells. There are spells that do not require any power and you can reuse over and over again, although they are usually pretty weak. As a sorcerer, I would go ahead and choose Acid Splash, create Bonfire, Light, Firebolt, and Shocking Grasp. Sorcerers have a lot of cantrips to choose from. Next one up is first level spells. Now keep in mind, even though there's 2 categories here, I only get 5 between them. So I have to keep that in mind as I choose my spells. I'll go ahead and choose Burning Hands, Ice Knife, Magic Missile, go to the second page, Asnar's Scorcher, Scorching Ray, and that's it. So now that you have done your class features and your spells, you go ahead and move on to abilities, where you can choose your different methods. I'm going to go ahead and choose Standard Array. If you saw my last video, I explained how this worked, so I'll just go ahead and speed through this. Okay, now that I've done my stats, I can move on to the next section. Description. Now, I explained this in my last video as well, so go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. I'll be choosing Noble. Now, you see, Noble would usually give me History and Persuasion, but I already have Persuasion, so it allows me to choose one that I don't already have. So I'll go ahead and choose Survival. Choose a gaming set. I'll choose Dice. Everyone loves Dice. You are playing D&D after all. And another language. I'll go ahead and choose Celestial so I may talk to the angels. Next one up is Equipment. I already told you how equipment worked before, where there's this list of all these things you could choose from. But I didn't talk about gold, which is here. You get a random amount of starting gold. For each class, it's different. For Sorcerer, it's 3d4. How you read that is 3 4-sided dice. So if you were to have 4d20, that would be 4 20-sided dice. So now you could roll this yourself and put the number you got here, or you can hit the randomize and it'll roll it for you. I got a 3. So my 3 times 10 gold pieces is 30 gold pieces. If I hit add starting gold, that's how much gold I start with. Now, because I have this gold, I do not have any items in my inventory. What this means is I'll have to go to the add items and say I want a sword. No, I do not. Say I want some sort of armor. Okay. Say I want a healing potion. Potion of healing. You'll see its cost here. That's 50 gold. You can look at your currency over here. I have 30 gold. I cannot afford that. But as you can see, you can do this with most items. Magical ones will not work. So I could purchase this abacus here for 2 gold pieces and just add it to my inventory. Then, once I've done that, I subtract the amount from here. So, 28 since it costed 2 gold. And that should be it. Your character is complete at that point. You can click this button to go to your character sheet. If you watched my last video, you would already know how to read this character sheet. So, actions, spells, equipment. Actually, you wouldn't know the spell part because a barbarian does not use spells, so I'll teach it to you now. This is where all your spells are kept. Now, you might notice that Burning Hands, Ice Knife, and Magic Missile are put twice. They're over here. That's because you can cast lower level spells with higher level spell slots. What are spell slots? They're the things required for you to cast spells. If I wanted to cast Asgnar Scorcher, well, it's a second level spell, so I need a second level slot or higher. Because Burning Hands is a first level spell, I can use a first level spell slot or a second level one. Now, by casting it with a second level one, and it's only a first level spell, it actually gets more powerful. As you can see here in the little bottom part, it says at higher levels. If a spell has this at the bottom, that means it's stronger when casted with higher level slots. But in case you don't want this, just all your spells to repeat over and over, this gets very annoying at higher levels. You can go to Preferences under this tab I showed you how to bring up last video. And down here is Show Level Scaled Spells. If you just flip this off, you see that they disappear. And that's it. That's how you create a character from scratch. Next time, I'll be going over more in depth all the different classes, as I only explained the races and Sorcerer in this video. Goodbye for now.